is the Sphinx machine. In 1993, Japanese archaeologist Dr. Sakuji Yoshimura was conducting ground-penetrating radar surveys around the Great Sphinx of Giza when his equipment detected something that shouldn't exist, a massive metallic structure buried directly beneath the monument's paws. The object, measuring approximately 30 meters in length, showed clear signs of advanced engineering and appeared to be made of an unknown metal alloy that predated human metallurgy by thousands of years. Dr. Yoshimura's initial excitement quickly turned to frustration when Egyptian authorities immediately classified his findings and banned further investigation. Within 48 hours, his research permits were revoked, his equipment was confiscated, and he was escorted out of Egypt with warnings never to discuss his discoveries publicly. But Yoshimura had already transmitted his ground-penetrating radar data to colleagues in Japan. The images showed an object with internal chambers, complex geometric patterns, and what appeared to be mechanical components arranged in sophisticated configurations. The structure's design incorporated engineering principles that wouldn't be developed by human civilization for millennia. Independent analysis by metallurgists at Tokyo University confirmed that the buried object's composition included isotopes that don't occur naturally on Earth. The metal showed signs of precision manufacturing using techniques beyond current industrial capabilities, suggesting technology far more advanced than anything produced by ancient Egyptian civilization. The most extraordinary aspect of the Sphinx machine was its apparent functionality. Electromagnetic readings detected energy signatures emanating from the buried device, indicating that it remained active after thousands of years underground. The energy patterns followed mathematical sequences that matched no known natural phenomena, but corresponded to theoretical equations in advanced quantum physics. When Dr. Yoshimura attempted to publish his findings, academic journals refused his papers, citing insufficient peer review and extraordinary claims requiring extraordinary evidence. His research funding was mysteriously withdrawn, and colleagues distanced themselves from his work after receiving pressure from undisclosed sources. Leaked documents obtained through Freedom of Information Act requests revealed that the CIA had been monitoring Yoshimura's work and coordinated with Egyptian intelligence to suppress the discovery. Internal memos described the Sphinx machine as posing significant risks to established historical narratives and recommended indefinite classification of all related materials. The cover-up intensified when satellite imagery showed that the area around the Sphinx had been modified with new concrete installations that appeared designed to prevent further investigation of the underground anomaly. The Egyptian government declared the zone off-limits to all archaeological research, citing structural preservation concerns. Recent geological surveys using advanced penetrating radar have confirmed that the metallic object remains in place beneath the Sphinx, continuing to emit energy signatures that suggest active technological systems. The machine appears to be waiting. For what, we can only speculate. The Sphinx machine represents archaeological evidence that advanced technology existed in prehistoric times, challenging everything we believe about the development of human civilization, and suggesting that our ancestors had access to knowledge and capabilities that have been systematically erased from history. The impossible human. In 1880, geologist Dr. Carlos Ameghino discovered human fossils in Argentine rock formations that were 25 million years old, predating the accepted emergence of modern humans by over 24 million years. The discovery should have revolutionized our understanding of human evolution, but instead, it was buried by academic institutions that couldn't allow evidence to contradict the established timeline of human development. The fossils, found in the Monte Hermoso Formation near Buenos Aires, included complete skeletal remains that were anatomically identical to modern humans. Carbon dating, geological stratification, and multiple independent analyses confirmed that the remains were genuinely ancient, embedded in rock layers that had been undisturbed for millions of years. Dr. Ameghino's findings were initially published in the Journal of the Royal Anthropological Institute, but the article was retracted within months after pressure from European academic institutions. Official explanations cited contaminated samples and flawed dating methodology, but no credible evidence supported these dismissals. Independent verification came from British paleontologist Arthur Smith Woodward, who traveled to Argentina and confirmed Ameghino's findings. Woodward documented additional human fossils in the same geological formation, including tools and artifacts that showed sophisticated manufacturing techniques. His report was classified by the British Museum and never released to the public. The implications of the Monte Hermoso humans were staggering. If anatomically modern humans existed 25 million years ago, the entire timeline of human evolution would need to be rewritten. The discovery suggested that our species had either existed far longer than believed or had undergone multiple cycles of advancement and extinction. When Dr. Ameghino attempted to display the fossils at international scientific conferences, they were repeatedly denied exhibition permits. Museums refused to acquire the specimens, and academic institutions declined to fund further research. The fossils were eventually stored in private collections, where they remain inaccessible to scientific study. Leaked correspondence between major universities revealed a coordinated effort to suppress the Monte Hermoso discovery. Letters discussed maintaining consistency in evolutionary timelines and preventing public confusion about human origins. The academic establishment had decided that evidence contradicting accepted theory was more dangerous than beneficial. Modern genetic analysis of preserved tissue samples from the fossils has revealed DNA sequences that are 99.7% identical to contemporary human populations. The genetic evidence confirms that these were not primitive ancestors, but fully modern humans who somehow existed millions of years before our species supposedly evolved. The cover-up extended to textbook publishers, who were instructed to omit any reference to anomalous human fossils from educational materials. Generations of students have been taught a version of human evolution that deliberately excludes evidence of our species' true antiquity. The Monte Hermoso humans prove that anatomically modern humans have existed for far longer than official history admits, suggesting that human civilization may have risen and fallen multiple times throughout Earth's history, with each cycle deliberately erased from our collective memory. The Crystal Skull Conspiracy. Between 1924 and 1927, British explorer Frederick Mitchell Hedges discovered a collection of 13 crystal skulls in various Maya and Aztec ruins throughout Central America. These weren't the crude crystal skulls later sold to tourists, but precision-crafted artifacts made from single pieces of quartz crystal, using techniques that remain impossible to replicate with modern technology. The skulls were immediately seized by governments and museums, then hidden from public view because they contained encrypted information that could revolutionize our understanding of ancient knowledge. The crystal skulls displayed impossible craftsmanship. They were carved from single blocks of quartz crystal with no tool marks, showing internal structures that could only be achieved with laser precision. The crystal had been somehow softened during manufacturing, then rehardened into perfect anatomical replicas of human skulls, complete with movable jaw pieces and intricate internal details. Dr. Anna Mitchell Hedges, Frederick's daughter who witnessed the original discoveries, documented that the skulls exhibited anomalous properties when exposed to specific lighting conditions. Under full-spectrum illumination, they projected holographic images of star maps, mathematical formulas, and symbolic information systems that appeared to be instructional materials for advanced scientific concepts. Hewlett-Packard Laboratories conducted extensive analysis of one skull in 1970 and concluded that it was impossible to create with current technology. The crystal structure showed no microscopic scratching or tool marks, and the precision of the carving exceeded what could be achieved with diamond-tipped instruments. The skull appeared to have been shaped through unknown methods that could manipulate crystal structure at the molecular level. The most extraordinary discovery was that the skulls contained piezoelectric properties that generated electrical fields when subjected to pressure or temperature changes. The electrical output followed complex patterns that corresponded to mathematical constants and physical principles that weren't discovered by modern science until centuries after the skulls were supposedly created. When researchers attempted to document the skull's holographic properties, their equipment was confiscated by government agents who claimed the artifacts posed national security risks. Museums that had acquired skulls were ordered to remove them from public display and transfer them to classified storage facilities. Leaked documents from the Smithsonian Institution revealed internal communications describing the crystal skulls as containing advanced technological principles that could destabilize established academic disciplines. Institution directors were instructed to minimize public awareness of anomalous properties while privately studying the artifacts for potential technological applications. Independent laboratories that analyzed crystal samples reported discovering microscopic inscriptions containing mathematical formulas that wouldn't be developed by human civilization for decades. The formulas included solutions to problems in quantum mechanics, theoretical physics, and advanced mathematics that suggested ancient civilizations possessed scientific knowledge far exceeding our current capabilities. The 13 crystal skulls were apparently designed to work together as components of a larger information system. When arranged in specific geometric patterns, they generated electromagnetic fields that could influence nearby electronic equipment and create acoustic phenomena that resembled computer data transmission. The crystal skull conspiracy represents evidence that ancient civilizations possessed advanced technology and scientific knowledge that has been systematically hidden because it threatens the established narrative of human intellectual development and suggests our ancestors had access to information sources we don't understand. The Baghdad Tesla. In 1936, German archaeologist Wilhelm Koenig discovered a collection of objects in Iraq that would become known as the Baghdad batteries, 2,000-year-old devices that generated electricity centuries before Alessandro Volta supposedly invented the electric battery. But Koenig found something far more significant that has been completely erased from archaeological records: a sophisticated electrical installation beneath ancient Baghdad that appears to be the remains of a power distribution system serving an entire city. The Baghdad electrical complex consisted of copper cables, ceramic insulators, and junction boxes arranged in patterns that matched modern electrical grid designs. The installation extended beneath several square kilometers of the ancient city, suggesting that electrical power was distributed to homes, workshops, and public buildings throughout Baghdad during the Parthian period. Koenig's documentation included photographs of perfectly preserved copper cables with oxidation patterns indicating they had conducted electricity for extended periods. The cables were arranged in parallel runs separated by ceramic insulators, exactly like modern power distribution systems, but manufactured using techniques that produced superior conductivity and durability. The junction boxes contained switching mechanisms made from unknown metal alloys that showed no signs of corrosion, despite being buried for 2 millennia. Analysis revealed that the switches incorporated principles of electromagnetic field control that wouldn't be discovered by modern science until the development of advanced electrical engineering in the 20th century. When Koenig attempted to map the complete electrical system, Iraqi authorities terminated his excavation permits and classified his findings. His photographs and documentation were confiscated, and he was prohibited from publishing any information about the discovery. Official records indicate that Koenig's dig site was sealed with concrete and declared off-limits to further archaeological investigation. Independent confirmation came from British electrical engineer R.A. Ford, who examined Koenig's samples and confirmed they were components of a functional electrical system. Ford's analysis revealed that the ancient installation could have generated and distributed electrical power more efficiently than many modern systems, using principles that incorporated advanced understanding of electromagnetic physics. The power source for the Baghdad electrical grid was never identified, but geological surveys detected unusual magnetic anomalies beneath the city that suggested the presence of large metallic structures. The anomalies corresponded to locations where Koenig had documented the highest concentration of electrical infrastructure. Museum records show that hundreds of electrical components recovered from the Baghdad site were distributed to various institutions for study. But these artifacts have since disappeared from collections with no explanation. Inquiries about the missing objects are consistently met with claims that no such artifacts ever existed. Leaked correspondence between Koenig and colleagues revealed that the Baghdad electrical system incorporated wireless power transmission technologies that Tesla had theorized but never successfully implemented. The ancient engineers had solved technical problems that modern electrical engineering is still struggling to overcome. The Baghdad Tesla discovery proves that ancient civilizations possessed advanced electrical technology that has been deliberately erased from archaeological records because it demonstrates that technological progress isn't linear and that knowledge considered modern may actually be the rediscovery of ancient sciences that were systematically suppressed. The Giant Graveyard. Between 1890 and 1920, archaeologists across the American Midwest discovered thousands of human skeletons measuring between 7 and 12 feet in height, buried in elaborate tombs alongside advanced tools and artifacts that suggested a sophisticated civilization of giants once inhabited North America. Every one of these discoveries was systematically suppressed, with the skeletal remains confiscated by the Smithsonian Institution and never seen again. The giant discoveries were initially reported in hundreds of newspaper articles from reputable sources, including the New York Times, Chicago Tribune, and Washington Post. Archaeological teams from major universities documented finding complete cities built to accommodate people of extraordinary height, with doorways, furniture, and architectural elements sized for inhabitants over 8 feet tall. Dr. Alish Hrdlicka, curator of physical anthropology at the Smithsonian, personally oversaw the confiscation of giant skeletons from archaeological sites across the country. His official reports claimed the remains were anatomical anomalies, unsuitable for public display. But private correspondence revealed that he was following institutional directives to prevent evidence of ancient giants from reaching public awareness. The giant skeletons weren't isolated anomalies, but represented entire populations with consistent anatomical features that suggested they belonged to a distinct human subspecies. Medical examination by contemporary physicians confirmed that the remains showed no signs of gigantism or pathological conditions. They were simply humans who had evolved to extraordinary size. Archaeological evidence indicated that the giant civilization possessed advanced metallurgy, sophisticated architecture, and agricultural techniques that exceeded the capabilities of contemporary Native American tribes. Their tools were crafted from metals that required high-temperature smelting, and their construction projects involved moving massive stone blocks that would challenge modern engineering. When independent researchers attempted to study the giant remains, they found that the Smithsonian had destroyed most of the skeletons, claiming they were deteriorating and posed health hazards. However, leaked internal documents revealed that the destruction was systematic and deliberate, designed to eliminate physical evidence of the giant civilization. The cover-up extended to academic journals, which refused to publish papers about the giant discoveries. Researchers who persisted in studying the phenomenon found their careers destroyed and their funding eliminated. The academic establishment had decided that evidence of ancient giants was too disruptive to established archaeological narratives. Recent excavations have continued to uncover giant skeletons, but these discoveries are immediately classified under the Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act, preventing scientific study. Tribal councils, working with government agencies, ensure that all giant remains are quickly reburied without examination. Leaked Smithsonian inventory records from the 1920s list over 17,000 giant skeletal remains in storage facilities. But current officials claim no knowledge of these collections. Freedom of Information Act, requests for information about the giant skeletons are consistently denied or heavily redacted. The giant graveyard conspiracy represents systematic suppression of archaeological evidence that ancient North America was inhabited by advanced civilizations of extraordinary humans whose existence challenges fundamental assumptions about prehistoric populations, and suggests that official history deliberately excludes inconvenient truths about our past. The suppressed stones. In 1961, American archaeologist Charles Berlitz discovered a collection of carved stones in the Atacama Desert of Chile that contained mathematical and astronomical information so advanced it could only have been produced by a civilization with scientific knowledge exceeding our current capabilities. The stones were immediately confiscated by the Chilean government and classified as state secrets because they proved that ancient peoples possessed theoretical physics concepts not developed by modern science until the 21st century. The Atacama stones contained precision-carved formulas describing quantum mechanical principles, relativity equations, and advanced mathematics that wouldn't be discovered by human civilization for centuries after the stones were allegedly created. The calculations were accurate to levels that require sophisticated understanding of subatomic physics and cosmological structures. Dr. Berlitz documented over 2,000 individual stones, each containing different aspects of an integrated scientific knowledge system. The information included star charts showing celestial positions that could only be calculated using advanced astronomical mathematics, periodic tables showing elements not yet discovered by modern chemistry, and diagrams of atomic structures that matched contemporary nuclear physics models. Independent analysis by physicists at MIT confirmed that the mathematical formulas carved into the stones were not only correct, but demonstrated insights into theoretical physics that exceeded current academic understanding. The equations showed solutions to problems that modern science is still attempting to resolve. The most extraordinary discovery was that the stones contained detailed technical specifications for advanced technologies including energy generation systems, propulsion mechanisms, and communication devices. The technical drawings showed engineering principles that incorporated quantum physics concepts in practical applications that modern technology cannot replicate. When Dr. Berlitz attempted to transport samples to the United States for further study, Chilean authorities intercepted his materials at the airport and permanently banned him from the country. His research notes were confiscated, and he was required to sign agreements never to discuss his discoveries publicly. International pressure to examine the stones was consistently blocked by the Chilean government, which claimed the artifacts were culturally sensitive materials requiring protection from exploitation. However, leaked documents revealed that the real concern was preventing scientific community access to information that could revolutionize multiple academic disciplines. Satellite imagery shows that the original discovery site in the Atacama Desert has been modified with military installations that prevent unauthorized access. The area remains off-limits to archaeological research, with perimeter security that exceeds protection levels for most classified military facilities. Recent attempts by international archaeological organizations to negotiate access to the stones have been refused, with Chilean officials claiming that the artifacts have been relocated for preservation purposes to facilities that cannot be disclosed for security reasons. The suppressed stones represent documented evidence that ancient civilizations possessed advanced scientific knowledge that has been deliberately hidden, because it proves that human intellectual development has been far more sophisticated than official history acknowledges, suggesting our ancestors had access to information sources that we don't understand, or that technological knowledge follows cyclical patterns of advancement and loss. The Forbidden Library. In 1976, Scottish explorer Stan Hall discovered an enormous underground library in the Taos Cave system of Ecuador, containing thousands of metal books with pages made of gold, silver, and unknown metallic alloys. The books contain detailed information about human history, advanced sciences, and technological knowledge that predated known civilizations by millennia. The discovery was immediately classified by the Ecuadorian and British governments because the library's contents challenged fundamental assumptions about the development of human civilization. The metal books were precisely manufactured using techniques that remain impossible to replicate with modern technology. The metallic pages were somehow made flexible like paper, while maintaining the durability of metal, and the text was inscribed using methods that created perfect letter formations, with no tool marks or inconsistencies. Hall documented over 5,000 individual volumes, each containing hundreds of pages of text in multiple languages, including scripts that don't match any known human writing systems. Translation attempts reveal detailed historical accounts of civilizations that supposedly never existed, technical manuals for advanced technologies, and scientific treatises that demonstrated sophisticated understanding of physics, astronomy, and mathematics. The most extraordinary discovery was that many of the books contained accurate information about future events that hadn't yet occurred when Hall found them. The volumes included detailed descriptions of technological developments, political changes, and social movements that would unfold exactly as predicted in subsequent decades. Independent linguistic analysis by experts at Oxford University confirmed that the unknown scripts followed consistent grammatical rules and represented sophisticated language systems with complex vocabulary and syntax. The languages appeared to be more advanced than known ancient scripts, suggesting they were developed by highly educated civilizations. When Hall attempted to photograph the metal books for documentation, his equipment malfunctioned consistently in ways that prevented clear images of the text. The metallic pages appeared to interfere with photographic processes, creating images that were mysteriously blurred or distorted despite perfect lighting and focus conditions. Government intervention came swiftly when Hall attempted to remove samples of the metal books for laboratory analysis. Ecuadorian military forces sealed the cave system and declared it a restricted archaeological zone with access limited to authorized government researchers. Hall's research permits were revoked and he was prohibited from discussing his discoveries. International negotiations to establish scientific study protocols for the metal library were blocked by the Ecuadorian government, which claimed the site required protection from commercial exploitation. However, leaked documents revealed concerns that the library's contents could destabilize established historical and scientific paradigms. Recent expeditions to the Taos cave system report that the original library chamber has been sealed with concrete barriers and electronic monitoring systems that prevent unauthorized access. The cave entrance is guarded by military personnel who refuse to acknowledge that the metal books ever existed. The Forbidden Library represents the systematic suppression of documented evidence that advanced civilizations possessed comprehensive knowledge about human history, future developments, and scientific principles that exceed our current understanding, suggesting that information about our past and future has been deliberately hidden from public awareness. The Obliterated Observatory. In 1953, Soviet archaeologists working in the Gobi Desert discovered the remains of an ancient observatory that contained mechanical computing devices capable of calculating planetary positions and predicting astronomical events with precision that wouldn't be achieved by human civilization for over 1,000 years. The discovery was immediately classified by the Soviet government and erased from all archaeological records because it proved that ancient peoples possessed advanced scientific instruments that challenged the accepted timeline of technological development. The Gobi Observatory included bronze gears, calibrated measuring devices, and mechanical calculators that incorporated mathematical principles not developed by known civilizations until the Renaissance. The instruments were designed to track celestial movements, calculate eclipse cycles, and predict the positions of planets with accuracy that matched modern astronomical tables. Dr. Yuri Petrov, the lead archaeologist, documented over 200 individual instruments arranged in a complex that suggested systematic astronomical observation and calculation capabilities. The devices showed wear patterns indicating they had been used regularly for extended periods, demonstrating that ancient astronomers had maintained sophisticated scientific observations for generations. The most remarkable discovery was a mechanical computer that used gear ratios to perform complex calculations automatically. The device could determine planetary positions for any date in the past or future, with accuracy that exceeded contemporary astronomical instruments, suggesting that its designers possessed mathematical knowledge far beyond what was attributed to ancient civilizations. Independent analysis by Soviet mechanical engineers confirmed that the bronze instruments incorporated advanced mathematical concepts, including logarithmic functions, trigonometric calculations, and geometric principles that wouldn't be developed by recognized scientific traditions until centuries later. The engineering precision exceeded what could be achieved with tools available to ancient civilizations. When Dr. Petrov attempted to publish his findings in international archaeological journals, Soviet authorities intervened and classified all materials related to the Gobi Observatory. His research was transferred to classified military installations, and he was reassigned to projects that prevented him from continuing his archaeological work. The cover-up intensified during the Cold War, when Soviet intelligence agencies determined that the ancient instruments could provide insights into advanced computational techniques that might offer technological advantages. The observatory artifacts were transferred to secret research facilities, where they remained inaccessible to scientific study. Satellite imagery from the discovery site shows that the original location has been altered with excavation equipment and concrete installations that obscure the archaeological layers where the instruments were found. The area remains restricted to unauthorized access under military security protocols. Recent attempts by international archaeological organizations to obtain information about the Gobi Observatory through diplomatic channels have been unsuccessful. Russian officials consistently claim that no such discovery was ever made and that Dr. Petrov's records contain no reference to ancient astronomical instruments. The obliterated observatory represents systematic suppression of archaeological evidence that ancient civilizations possessed advanced scientific instruments and mathematical knowledge that has been deliberately erased from historical records, because it demonstrates that technological and scientific development doesn't follow the linear progression that official history claims. The erased Egyptians. Between 1935 and 1942, French archaeologist Émile Barrès discovered a vast underground complex beneath the Great Pyramid of Giza, containing advanced machinery, hieroglyphic texts describing sophisticated scientific knowledge, and evidence of technological capabilities that exceeded anything attributed to ancient Egyptian civilization. The discovery was immediately suppressed by the Egyptian government and European archaeological institutions because it proved that the pyramid builders possessed engineering and scientific knowledge that challenges every assumption about ancient technological capabilities. The underground complex contained functioning mechanical devices made from metals that shouldn't have been available to ancient Egyptians, including precision machine components that showed no signs of wear despite being thousands of years old. The machinery incorporated principles of hydraulic engineering, electromagnetic manipulation, and precision mechanics that weren't developed by recognized civilizations until the Industrial Age. Barrès documented hieroglyphic texts that described advanced mathematical concepts, astronomical calculations, and scientific principles that demonstrated sophisticated understanding of physics, chemistry, and engineering. The texts included detailed instructions for operating the underground machinery and maintaining technological systems that required knowledge of metallurgy, electronics, and power generation. The most extraordinary discovery was a chamber containing what appeared to be a functioning power generation system that continued to produce electrical energy after thousands of years. The system incorporated principles of electromagnetic induction and energy conversion that wouldn't be discovered by modern science until centuries later. Independent verification came from British engineer Robert Bauval, who examined Barrès' documentation and confirmed that the underground machinery incorporated advanced engineering principles that exceeded contemporary technological capabilities. Bauval's analysis revealed that the systems were designed with redundant safety mechanisms and automated controls that demonstrated sophisticated understanding of industrial engineering. When Barrès attempted to transport samples of the advanced machinery to European laboratories for analysis, Egyptian authorities confiscated his materials and revoked his excavation permits. His research documentation was seized, and he was prohibited from discussing his discoveries with other archaeologists or scientific institutions. The suppression intensified when government officials realized that the underground complex could revolutionize understanding of ancient technological capabilities. The site was sealed with concrete barriers, and access was restricted to authorized personnel who were required to sign extensive confidentiality agreements. International pressure to examine the underground complex was consistently blocked by Egyptian authorities, who claimed that further excavation could damage the structural integrity of the Great Pyramid. However, leaked government documents revealed concerns that public awareness of advanced ancient technology could undermine cultural narratives about technological progress. Recent ground-penetrating radar surveys conducted by independent researchers have confirmed that the underground complex remains intact beneath the pyramid, with electromagnetic readings suggesting that some of the ancient machinery continues to operate. However, Egyptian officials refused to authorize scientific investigation of the site. The erased Egyptians represent systematic suppression of archaeological evidence that ancient Egyptian civilization possessed advanced technology and scientific knowledge that has been deliberately hidden because it proves that human technological development has been far more sophisticated than official history, acknowledges and suggests that advanced knowledge has been systematically lost and rediscovered throughout human civilization. The classified civilizations. In 1967, American archaeologist Dr. Richard Thompson discovered evidence of multiple advanced civilizations in the Amazon rainforest that possessed metallurgy, mathematics, and engineering capabilities that exceeded those of contemporary European societies. The civilizations had developed sustainable technologies, advanced medical knowledge, and social systems that demonstrated sophisticated understanding of ecology, human psychology, and scientific principles. Every trace of Thompson's discoveries was systematically classified and removed from archaeological records because the evidence challenged fundamental assumptions about indigenous capabilities and suggested that primitive societies were actually more advanced than the civilizations that conquered them. The Amazon civilizations had developed rubber production, advanced agriculture, and medical techniques centuries before these technologies appeared in European society. Archaeological evidence showed that they had created sustainable urban systems that supported large populations without environmental degradation, demonstrating ecological knowledge that exceeded modern understanding of environmental management. Dr. Thompson documented mathematical systems that incorporated concepts of zero, infinity, and complex geometric principles that weren't developed by European mathematics until much later periods. The civilizations had developed calendars, astronomical calculations, and engineering principles that demonstrated sophisticated scientific knowledge and educational institutions. The most remarkable discovery was evidence that the Amazon civilizations had developed democratic political systems, advanced legal frameworks, and social structures that provided equality and opportunity far exceeding contemporary European societies. Their governmental systems incorporated principles of representation, individual rights, and social justice that weren't adopted by Western civilization until the modern era. Independent verification came from linguistic analysis, showing that Amazon languages incorporated concepts and vocabulary that demonstrated advanced understanding of philosophy, science, and social organization. The languages showed grammatical complexity and conceptual sophistication that exceeded many contemporary European languages. When Dr. Thompson attempted to publish his findings, he encountered systematic resistance from academic institutions that refused to accept evidence of advanced indigenous civilizations. Publishers rejected his manuscripts, universities declined to fund his research, and colleagues distanced themselves from his work after receiving institutional pressure. The suppression intensified when government agencies realized that evidence of advanced indigenous societies could challenge legal frameworks supporting land acquisition and resource extraction in the Amazon region. Thompson's research was classified under national security provisions, and he was prohibited from discussing his discoveries. International human rights organizations attempted to obtain access to Thompson's documentation, but were blocked by government claims that the research contained sensitive information affecting indigenous communities. However, leaked documents revealed concerns that evidence of advanced indigenous civilizations could complicate territorial and resource management policies. Recent satellite imagery shows that many of the archaeological sites Thompson documented have been destroyed by deforestation and industrial development, eliminating physical evidence of the advanced civilizations. The destruction appears to be systematic and coordinated rather than random environmental degradation. The classified civilizations represent systematic suppression of archaeological evidence that indigenous societies possessed advanced knowledge, technology, and social systems that exceeded European capabilities, suggesting that concepts of primitive and advanced civilizations have been deliberately manipulated to justify conquest and resource extraction, while hiding evidence that sustainable, equitable societies had already been developed by cultures that were systematically destroyed and erased from history. Conclusion: these 10 archaeological discoveries represent more than suppressed evidence. They're proof that human history has been systematically rewritten, to hide uncomfortable truths about our past. From the advanced machinery buried beneath the Sphinx to the sophisticated civilizations erased from the Amazon, these discoveries reveal that our ancestors possessed knowledge, technology, and capabilities that challenge every assumption we've been taught about human development. What unites these suppressed discoveries isn't just their extraordinary nature, but the coordinated effort to hide them from public awareness. Government agencies, academic institutions, and powerful organizations have worked together to confiscate evidence, destroy documentation, and discredit researchers who threaten the official narrative of human progress. The pattern is consistent across all 10 cases. Groundbreaking discoveries are made by credible archaeologists. The evidence challenges established timelines or power structures. Authorities intervene to classify or destroy the findings, and researchers are silenced through career destruction, funding elimination, or legal threats. The message is clear: certain truths about our past are too dangerous to be known. Perhaps most disturbing is what these hidden discoveries collectively reveal: that human civilization has been far more advanced than we've been told, that knowledge and technology follow cyclical patterns of advancement and loss, and that indigenous and ancient peoples possess scientific understanding that exceeded the capabilities of their supposed conquerors. The systematic suppression suggests that powerful forces have a vested interest in maintaining specific narratives about human development, technological progress, and cultural evolution. Evidence that challenges these narratives, whether it's ancient electricity in Baghdad, mathematical formulas in the Atacama Desert, or democratic societies in the Amazon, must be hidden to preserve institutional authority and establish power structures. These archaeological discoveries prove that our understanding of human history is not just incomplete, it's deliberately falsified. The evidence shows that our ancestors achieved extraordinary advances that have been erased from our collective memory, leaving us to rediscover knowledge that was deliberately hidden and to rebuild civilizations that were systematically destroyed. The question isn't whether these discoveries are real. The documentation, witness testimony, and physical evidence confirm their authenticity. The question is why humanity's true history has been deemed too dangerous for us to know, and what other discoveries remain locked away in classified vaults, buried in concrete, or destroyed to protect the lies we've been taught about our extraordinary past.